A very good morning. I'm Dr. Ko. I'm a founder of Rehair Studios. Today I'm going to talk about our tech journey. So a little bit about myself. We started Rehair Studios as a game company. That's about 8 or 9 years ago. So about 3 years ago, we started looking at challenges for F&B, developing systems, real-time systems for F&B. So we have another company, Habitat Blue. So this company specializes on developing business operating systems for F&B businesses. So what are some of the inspirations that we had in that got us to do this? So while we were researching different games in the market itself, we realized that there was one particular game that we liked a lot. That was Diner Dash. So Diner Dash is actually the game about managing a restaurant. What is different is you play as the waiter in the restaurant itself, and what happens is you have to do your time management during lunch crowds and dinner crowds. You know, you have mass of hungry people coming in. You have angry customers who ordered something and then they realize that their food is not served on the table. You have chef being overloaded because there wasn't enough manpower planning in your kitchen, and as a result you will eventually lose the game at some point in time. If you don't manage your restaurant well, you start to lose customers, you start to get low star ratings on social media, and you start to lose your customers. So that was the original inspiration why we started developing a business operating solution. A bit of a disclaimer, what is in the slides I'm going to share. So we are in the business of developing Orca business operating system, but the solutions that we're going to list or are going to describe are some over here. We have no commercial contracts with them. We are not real resellers. Most of them are based on our personal research, and we see that okay, this is where technology in F&B space is moving towards. The first thing I probably want to talk about is customer engagement. This is probably what most F&B business will be worried about. How do you retain your customers? How do you engage them? How do you get them to come back to your restaurants? In the online space, which is so crowded, you know, businesses looked at Foodpanda, looks at Deliveroo, for example, in order to deliver the food and experience to the business, to the customers themselves. So traditionally, businesses goes for flyers, magazines, newspaper. Eventually, there was an evolution towards TV, radios, website. Now, most F&B businesses would have a website of sorts, or at least a Facebook page to engage their customers, social media. What we think will be coming next would be personalized engagement. You know, when you have more and more data about your customers, you know what they're buying at your store, and therefore you create a more customized experience for them. But the key challenge of achieving that vision is actually that you will need your sales data from your point of sales. And unfortunately, for most points of sales in the market right now, they are pretty closed ecosystem. Okay, so either your staff would have to export a lot of data from the POS itself, massage it, then import it into another platform in order for it to create that customized experience for your customers. Similarly, for delivery service, you know, in the past, people talk about ordering from telephone, call to your store, call to a call center, then you distribute the load to your stores. Then if you see nowadays, you know, people are looking at website apps. If you're not on those platforms, then what happens is your competitors will be getting them. Similarly, at the restaurant's operations, there's a large evolution as well. Pen and paper. In a lot of neighboring countries, and as well as Singapore as well, there are some businesses who still rely on pen and paper, which is typically okay if the load at the restaurant is not that big. But you know, there are more and more businesses that adopt smart point of sales, that adopt integrated business operating systems. Those kind of businesses will have the ability to access data that, you know, traditional businesses do not have. So we do see that over time, the availability of data on a fingertip, ability for data to manage your business will become an advantage. Okay, so if you don't have it, you actually at a disadvantage. But what's beyond integrated operating system, we think will be blockchain and distributed ledger. I will show one example later. So engagement of CRM. So you have a good CRM capability. If you are able to build machine learning on it, what happens is you can crunch the data that's generated from the platform itself. You can automate your customer relationship. You can do service recovery. You can get notified about bad reviews before they and be able to do the recovery before it actually spreads and destroys the brand. This is particularly important for franchising companies because we think that as you get more and more franchisees, sometimes the control on the franchisees becomes weak, and when that happens, you would have varying level of quality in terms of your product or in terms of your service or in terms of your customer experience. So being able to have a software that would allow you to get immediate feedback about customers satisfaction or customer experience at your outlet itself, and being on the fly to be able to do service recovery is extremely important. Okay. We also think marketing for the business itself has changed. Digital transformation, you're going online. There are more and more businesses going online to do their advertising about their brands. Search engine optimization, Google Ads, in order to catch the customer's attention onto your brand itself. We also see some businesses have developed chatbots. This. So what Checkbox does is basically it's an automated customer service program, which is saying that it's similar. It's not a new technology. It's similar to when you actually call a phone itself. They will ask you, okay, dial 1 for English, dial 2 for Chinese, that kind of idea. Okay, but we see that there are some businesses who have gone into chatbots, which is similar. Like if you go online to order what you would like to order, this is our recommendation. Why not have a brownie together to go with your chicken wings, something like that. Okay, so instead of hiring people to do it, they develop program bots to do it. Now the reason for that is when you have human factor in it, you might have inconsistent customer experience. Okay, and because of the turnover, you have to do retraining again to ensure the customer experience. But whether chatbot itself is the solution to that problem, it waits to be seen, because customers might not like the fact that you're actually sending a robot to deal with them. They will still want a more customized user experience. Okay, so this is one of the tools that we came across, which is very useful. What happens is, okay, I'll let the video do the talk.
You manage a chain of restaurants, and every day, at each location, your customers expect the same great experience, which is why you and your staff have similar lists, processes, and protocols that keep your operations consistent from shift to shift. There's the opening protocol, menu protocol, safety checklists, inventory counts, closing protocol. Before you know it, you're knee-deep in lists that are strung out all across the store. It's time to ditch the loop and use Hot Schedules Logbook, a mobile online shift management and communication solution that gives you and your staff real-time insight into what's been done, who did it, and when the task was completed. With Logbook, you can use our universal task list, which is based on 20 years of industry best practices, or easily customize your own. You can assign tasks to all your stores, log daily shift information with pictures, document accidents and track food temperature, record employee performance in the staff journal, and search archive records. So while John is doing his prep work, Sarah is working on opening the store, and it's all managed from a single spot. Over time, each of these tasks are tracked so that owners or corporate can see the store's performance all within one mobile solution. Thanks to Logbook, your task list and communications are as flexible and mobile as you are. This is how you get shifts done. Put Hot Schedules Logbook to work for you.
Yeah, so this is one example of a software that is really available. You can look at the website itself for more information. What happens is it basically creates an app. You can customize your SOP. So imagine that you are running a restaurant itself, you can't be at the restaurant itself. You say that you want to check on, you want to ensure that your staff check on the temperature of the freezer itself every day before opening. And what you should do if, say for example, if your SOP says that it's 4 degrees, and what happens if the fridge registers at 6? Do you throw away the items inside? Do you continue to sell it? So you can program all these protocols into the app itself so that you can, leave and do other things rather than being at the store itself to do all the checking every day yourself. Okay?
You manage a chain of restaurants.
So the other software I'm going to talk about is actually Zero. Zero is open source. What's open source? Sorry, accounting software that has really API. So what it means is, from a POS point of view, the POS provider could actually provide a simple interface between your accounting software and the point of sales itself. So you can push your purchase orders, you can push your sales directly into the accounting software. Now, by doing that, you actually save a lot of time, you save human errors, because what happens is you have to transfer, typically in the past, you have to transfer your purchase orders from the store into your accounting software to compute your COGS. But with their APIs and push and pull notification, there are two things that you can do. You can engage a third-party software developer to actually pull data out from accounting software in order to create certain reports or visualizations specific to your organization. You can automate your process from the store, which means that when you receive something from the store level, you receive the DO from a supplier, you can push the DO directly into your Zero. So when your back office actually receives the invoices from the supplier, you can do your reconciliation quite easily. You don't need to have someone keying in the data into the accounting software again. Of course, SAP itself is also moving towards that. It's like of course, it's the most expensive software, but most comprehensive as well. But what I want to show you is the vision behind it.
This is definitely what I know. Whoa, that's kind of cool. Well, I texted you.
Like most people today, Emily shops online, uses social media for reviews from friends and other groups her age. She's used to smart systems guiding her websites. SAP Iris allows retailers like Treadscapes to target an ad based on her profile, creating a fully personalized shopping experience. Whether she's online or in the store, personalization starts with her first click. But for companies to be successful, that customer experience has to transfer to the brick-and-mortar world as well. SAP SuccessFactors ensures constant upskilling of sales staff with what they need to know to stay on top of new products. Thanks to SAP's integrated systems, when Emily enters the store, her loyalty app is automatically detected, and our store associate is immediately alerted and given her profile so he can continue Emily's personalized shopping experience inside the store.
Hey guys, who's Sloan's here to pick us up? Hi!
Every time, now that Emily is gone, Mom and Dad can take advantage to order her back using the site's barcode. They customize Emily's bike with a number of different features, including the embossed leather seat and associated pointed out. In addition, they take advantage of the online ability to order a helmet that matches her bike's color. When customers hit the site order, they have no idea how many parts of the business have to work together to make sure that Emily gets her bike on her birthday. In a matter of seconds, when the order hits the manufacturing line, SAP S4HANA is busy coordinating on hundreds of components, production balances, and constraints to make sure that every bike gets made and delivered on time. As the pallet containing Emily's bike is ready to go, SAP Leonardo signals carrying tracking information of the materials in production being in there, so that Emily's dad gets real-time notification on the bike's progress.
Yeah. Why don't you let time stand to move up?
So even for a software like SAP, they have moved towards opening up the API. So what it means is, same thing from your POS, from your point of sales, you can integrate directly into the ERP itself at a fraction of a cost of what you have been previously. So why do I put Xero and SAP together? You know, why the comparison over there? So for smaller businesses, you probably just need an accounting software. So you know, SAP Xero will be more than enough for you. But if you're running a store of, you know, a group of stores for 20, 30 stores, then you probably need an ERP like SAP to do it. So we think that point of sales, or rather business operating system at the restaurants itself, will move towards being more open in terms of APIs. And by doing that, you know, they would be able to integrate with a lot more software that is already moving towards that direction. Okay, so another software that I want to introduce is called OpenEdX. Why do I talk about this? Because in F&B, what happens is the turnover rate is extremely high. Okay, we see businesses struggle with training, retraining, training, retraining. If you don't do it well, what happens is you would have declining qualities in terms of your food product. So previously there was this hot schedule. Hot schedule is meant to help you plan out your SOPs for every day. Okay, whereas online training will be something that you can upload your training videos. For example, how do you actually cook a dish into the store itself, and then you can have one training officer schedule training for all your staff and retraining as well. And then at the end of it, there will be a simple quiz, okay? And your training officer will be able to see whether someone has actually finished the training or not. Now, OpenEdX doesn't cost a bomb. OpenEdX is actually open source, so which means that you can actually host your own instance and make it your own private online training course. Another software that we have looked into was Deputy. Deputy is a HR scheduling software, especially for F&Bs and retails. So what happens is there's API within the program itself that allows you to push your hourly sales into this platform. So if you set certain rules into the program itself, what happens is the software would help you plan how many people you need at the kitchen, whether you are able to share your bar personnel with your cashier, how many waiters do you need at the floor, based on your hourly sales. Okay, so if you say that my peak is at Mondays to Fridays, for example, during lunchtime, so by putting the numbers in, it will show you what is the percentage of your manpower cost in respect to your total revenue. So the next exciting thing that we think is going to happen in the industry itself is the use of blockchain. So being with a common ledger, what happens is you can't merge, you can integrate the whole chain itself such that you get your information right from the source. Let me show you a video on that.
I came into my staff meeting, I put them on the table, and I said, your traceback exercise starts right now, and we time how long it took them to get the information for each point of the food system all the way back to the farm. And I'm not going to give you the results after the pilot, but it's going to be good. When a customer shops at our stores, we know they expect great prices, we know they expect fast, clean, and friendly service. But an unspoken expectation is that they expect the products that they buy in our stores to be safe. When there's a food event or a food scare, what you want to do is you want to be fast, but you want to be right. That food product is guilty until proven innocent. We at Walmart will actually pull all the product until we know what is the implicated product, so we can put the safe product back out. And so imagine if we could pinpoint with certainty within minutes, not days, that it was the implicated product. Walmart and IBM are working to make that a reality. If you think about the food system, it's pretty complex. It involves farmers, processors, distributors. And the way traceability is done today, each segment of the food system does it their own way. Most actually do it on paper or on systems that don't speak to each other. And so you can never have a full view of what's happening in the food system. What we hope to do with blockchain is bring all food safety system stakeholders and collaborate so that we do it one best way. We can do it very quickly and efficiently. Blockchain is a digital ledger that allows different segments of the food system to capture information about the product, what they've done to it, and where that product has been. If we're linking that data with other data points, the Internet of Things, all that information will yield to insights that will allow us to have a safer, more affordable, and sustainable food system. But we don't believe traceability is the goal. We believe that transparency is the ultimate goal. Blockchain will give us the ability to not only track where food came from, but how it was produced. Was it produced safely? Was it produced responsibly? Is it sustainably grown? How many days of shelf life are left on that product? The food system is a shared responsibility. And for blockchain and traceability and transparency to work, we need a lot of people working together. So we're excited to be working with IBM on this blockchain initiative. But it's not just Walmart and IBM. We actually have some of our suppliers participating in this pilot. We've got some universities also participating in the pilot. And so we'll make sure that all stakeholders work together for a safer and better food system.
So what blockchain is able to do is basically to allow the sharing of information right from the supplier, the food source itself, to the supplier, right to your store itself. So think of it like, you know, if there is a swine flu, right, that's rampaging around, and it so happens that the business that you have actually serve meat. So the first question is, you know, how do you restore your consumers' confidence that the meat that you sell is safe? So blockchain will be one solution to that. If you can provide to the customer transparent information, the source of your meat, the source of your, you know, how is it transported, how is it processed, and you can provide that guarantee to the customer. Even you yourself will be able to provide that guarantee to your customers that the meat is safe. Okay. So the final software, rather solution that we're going to talk about is cryptocurrency. So I'm sure that there's a lot of news on Bitcoin and a lot of news on Ethereum, on newspaper itself. So there's this startup that's called 10x. You can take a look at what they are trying to imagine for the payment.
Today we're here with our co-founder and CEO of 10x, Paul, and we're going to buy a coffee and pay with it with our multi-digital asset wallet using Ethereum for the first time. Okay, so right now our wallet is linked to Bitcoin as our payment source, and we are going to switch it to Ethereum.
So what is unique about this solution is that for the merchants themselves, they actually do not receive in Bitcoins, they actually receive in cash. Of course, merchants themselves, they have the ability to option to say that, okay, I want to keep the money in Ethereum or Bitcoin as well. But we think that this startup disrupted the space a bit. They basically help merchants overcome the fear of collecting it in Bitcoins. So the customers could have a Bitcoin wallet, could have a Ethereum wallet, and the merchants will actually receive the payment in cash rather than in Bitcoin itself. Okay, so what I've shared so far is how we look at the point of sales or the system for running the business itself will have evolved. An integrated business operating system will be looking at integrated and communicating with third-party software, whereas a standalone point of sales don't. With the software, a few of the software that I've introduced so far, you have seen that the business operating system for an F&B itself will have evolved a lot already. So if the point of sales itself is still a closed system by itself, businesses will start to lose out because they don't have that integration with the rest of the community that's building around. An integrated business operating system also has API that's ready for integration. Now, this is very important because I've dealt with a lot of businesses using different point of sales, using different ERPs on the back end, and usually the integration fails for two reasons. One, either the ERP or the point of sales is reluctant to do the integration, or the cost of integrating is so high. Okay, we see that moving forward there'll be more point of sales systems that would have ready APIs available, such that a business owner could have engaged a third-party developer just to do the communication between your back-end systems or your loyalty systems or your accounting software with the point of sales itself. What we also see is coming up is a marketplace or suite of third-party software integrated solutions. So one good example is Xero. If you actually visit their website, you will find that they actually have an online marketplace with a lot of plugins. They have payroll plugins, they have inventory plugins, anything that will help you with your back office operations. Okay, so this is a bit of advertisement on my part. So we look at point of sales as only one part of the whole integrated business operating system. So we no longer think that the point of sales is the IT system for your business. Rather, it is just a small part. It is a point where all the data about your business is being collected. It is necessary because this is where the whole transaction cycle finishes. But beyond that, you have a kitchen, you have waiter, we have probably seen some self-ordering kiosks as well. You have probably seen online ordering system, you're probably looking at it as well. Inventory management, accounting software. We think that in the next couple of years, this will be where how the point of sales systems will actually evolve into what we call business operating system. Okay, that's all for me. Any questions?
So for your, so I don't know how to pronounce ORC.
Orca.
So for the system, the linking of everything that we talked about, like the several APIs, is that how it works?
So as I disclaimed in the first part of the slide, what happens is most of this software are based on our research. This is our long-term vision to be able to encompass everything. But what we have right now is integration into Xero, integration into Mobi2Go, which is online ordering software, and we can integrate with third-party reporting software as well. Yeah.
In order to convince a client to adopt this system, so what are your challenges?
So some of our challenges would be, okay, when people look at changing an IT solution for an organization, of course the first thing that people think about would be, what is my adoption cost? But we realize that there's actually another hidden cost, which is our retraining cost. So which means that because the organization could be large and they already have a lot of processes in place, and changing over the system like that would actually mean changing both your front end and your back end processes. Usually we find that it is easier to change the front end, especially for new stores, but for back end usually it's a challenge for us, and this is why we think that the way to move forward with it is to really integrate with whatever back end accounting systems or back end ERP systems that the client already have. Any more questions? If not, you can drop by our booth at C26, have a nice cup of Vietnamese coffee, and if you want to learn more, I'll be around. Thank you.